On a dark night along the Russian coast, Oleg helps smugglers load a ton of caviar onto a small boat. The sailor he hires refuses, warning the boat can only handle 600 kilos, even after Oleg offers more money. Oleg pretends to call his wife, but secretly tells the smugglers to claim the cargo weighs 600 kilos. The plan works, but the overloaded boat soon sinks, forcing everyone to swim ashore. When the sailor demands compensation, Oleg gives him his new car and is left with an old wreck and $1 million in debt to the smugglers. The next day, Oleg asks his girlfriend Sveta for a loan at the bank where she works, but she refuses since he still owes money. She suggests asking her family, who own a house. Oleg hates the idea he can't stand her family, but he has no choice. They drive to the house where everyone lives together. Her father, Boris, a wanted man who sings strange songs and hasn't left in 5 years. Her grandfather, Pavel, who is tired of living. Her sister, Rita, a theater accountant who dreams of performing. Her brother, Tolik, an asthmatic dog trainer who wants to join the army. And her younger sister, Sacha, who daydreams about growing up and has a crush on Oleg. Oleg tries to explain his money trouble to Boris, but has to wait until he finishes singing. When Boris finally listens, he explodes, claiming selling the house is like selling the family into slavery. Oleg explains he only needs a guarantor letter and no one loses anything, but Boris still refuses. The argument stops when a meteorite crashes through the roof, lands in the middle of the house, and hits Pavel. The family runs outside, thinking they are under attack, but after seeing a meteor shower, they realize what happened and go back in to check on their grandfather. They put Pavel to bed, and Oleg and the siblings start digging to remove the meteorite so they can sell it. One by one, the siblings fall asleep, leaving Oleg to dig alone until morning. When he finally climbs out, Pavel calls him over and says he is about to die. Oleg wants to call an ambulance, but Pavel refuses, saying he has lived long enough and wants peace. Before dying, he asks Oleg to pass one final message to the family: they can all go to hell. After confirming Pavel is dead, Oleg rushes to tell Sveta, but she is fast asleep and ignores him. He falls asleep beside her, and when Tolik later comes to show him something, Sveta is gone. Oleg follows Tolik into the living room and sees the meteorite has turned into a strange liquid. Sacha now has super strength, and Rita can fly. Sveta appears moments later, half invisible, and Pavel suddenly shows up alive. When Rita loses control and floats out through the hole in the roof, she crashes to the ground. Pavel dies again as Sveta becomes fully visible. They bring Rita back inside and tie her down, so she does not float away, which causes Pavel to revive once more. They realize the meteorite has given them powers. Sveta suggests calling the authorities, but the moment she leaves the room, Pavel dies again and Rita stops floating. Their abilities only work when they are together. They visit a doctor, who finds nothing wrong and says they are perfectly healthy. The strange interruptions are simply how their powers function. At dinner, they argue about what to do next. Rita wants to perform, while Pavel warns that people would experiment on them. Tolik feeds his dogs and discovers he can now understand them. Oleg suggests putting the family on television to make money, but Boris refuses to let his family be used. That night, Oleg worries about the money in the bank, while Sveta wonders if her future children will be invisible. The next morning, Pavel tries to hang himself, but it fails as long as he stays near his family. He cannot die. Boris discovers his power is teleportation after a bathroom mishap and decides the family needs a short vacation. They go fishing at a lake, and as Boris practices controlling his ability, Oleg reveals his plan. They should rob a bank together. With Sveta invisible, she can walk in, take the money, and walk out, while the rest wait nearby so she does not lose her power. Rita, Tolik, and Sacha agree, but Boris refuses again, saying he does not care if Oleg leaves and their powers stop working. Furious, Oleg drives off, and Sveta follows after telling her family to keep Pavel's body in the basement until they return. On the road, Oleg tries to justify his plan, but another car forces them to stop. It is the smugglers, demanding their money. Oleg asks for a month, but they give him 1 week, or they will sell his organs on the Chinese black market. After they leave, Sveta finally understands that Oleg's debt is not just financial. It is a threat to his life, and she agrees to help him. The next day, Oleg and Sveta show Boris a beautiful new house they could buy if the plan works. Boris says he does not need a new house, but Sveta finally speaks up, saying the family is tired of the falling apart place and just wants a home with a working toilet. Boris still refuses until Sveta breaks down, reminding him this is the first time she has ever asked for his help and he will not even listen. Boris finally gives in and agrees to rob the bank. They go over the details and celebrate the new life ahead, while Sacha keeps interrupting Oleg and Sveta whenever they try to be alone. Oleg is then caught off guard when the family sets their conditions for helping. Pavel wants to be cremated after the robbery, Rita wants to fly in front of an audience, and Sacha wants a date with him. Oleg says it is too much and backs out, but Boris warns him that if he wants to be part of the family, he must help them too or the deal is off. With no choice, Oleg agrees to all of it. After visiting the theater where Rita works and booking her show, Oleg finally learns his own power while in bed with Sveta. He can pour water from his finger, which she jokes is perfect for watering plants. The next morning, Sacha tags along as they scout the bank they plan to rob. It is not the branch where Sveta works, avoiding suspicion. As they talk, Sacha asks what would happen if Sveta were caught and jailed, and who would take care of Oleg. Amused, Sveta plays along and says she would. Back home, they discover Tolik has shaved his head after being accepted into the army, meaning he will not join the robbery. Boris is saddened to lose his son, but Oleg, focused on the plan, uses his connections to have the army inform Tolik it was a mistake. Tolik is furious, while Boris is secretly pleased, believing the army has come to its senses. Oleg calms Tolik, promising that after the robbery he will help him enlist for real, earning back his trust. They then visit a funeral home to arrange Pavel's cremation. The clerk gives them a paper for Pavel to keep on his chest, so that when the police find him dead, they know where to take him. Oleg takes Sacha to lunch at an upscale restaurant, while the family watches from a distance and Sveta sits invisibly beside them to keep an eye on her sister. Sacha asks Oleg to take her with him after the robbery because she cannot stand her family anymore. Before he can refuse, the smugglers show up, dining at the same place. They approach Oleg to question him, and when Sacha realizes who they are, she stands up and beats them without hesitation. The family panics and runs, breaking their connection and causing Sacha to lose her strength, allowing her to escape before they realize it. The next day, they finally put the plan into motion. Oleg parks across the street in the sun, since the alley Boris suggests has a no parking sign. Because Sveta can only turn her body invisible, not her clothes, she undresses and enters the bank naked and unseen, with Oleg close behind. She trails the staff to memorize passwords and safe codes, while Oleg photographs the floor plan in case they need an escape route. While they wait, Boris gets tired of the sun and moves the car into a nearby alley for shade. It turns out the spot is reserved for the bank's armored truck, and when one arrives, the guards order the family to move. Boris refuses, knowing Sveta would become visible. With no other option, the guards use the armored truck to push the car away. Sveta suddenly appears in front of a bank employee and a customer, both stunned by what they see. The family calls Oleg, who rushes out and drags Pavel's body to the front of the bank so everyone is close to Sveta again. She instantly regains her power and vanishes, leaving the witnesses convinced they imagined it. As the family prepares to leave, police stop them for a routine check. Boris panics, thinks he is still wanted, and teleports away straight into the police truck, getting himself arrested. Hours later, Oleg bails him out by giving up another car. Back home, he reveals Boris was never wanted at all. It was all in his head. Enraged, Boris scolds the family for their behavior and makes them promise to stop arguing and abusing their powers. The next day, they still take Rita to the theater, as promised. When it is her turn, she sees a large crowd, including people she knows, and panics. She flies out of the theater, refusing to perform. Oleg follows her but is intercepted by the smugglers, who drag him onto the stage and beat him in front of the audience, turning him into the show. When they finally let him go, Oleg snaps. Hurt and furious, he lashes out at the family, calling them lazy, selfish, and useless, despite their incredible powers. He tries to walk away for good, but Boris comes up with a plan and decides to kidnap him instead. That night, the family returns to the bank to finish the robbery. Pavel distracts a group of drunk men by drinking fuel and breathing fire. The others mask up and move into position. Sacha pushes a truck across the street to block the view, then yanks the chain Rita, attached to the window, tearing open a hole in the wall. Boris teleports inside. Sacha throws Sveta through the opening, and Rita carries her in by flying. Sveta disables the alarm using the codes she memorized, and Sacha lifts the safe and tosses it into the street. As they load the money into the car, the police arrive, but Tolik releases the dogs to keep them busy. After grabbing as much money as they can, the family escapes, picking up Pavel as he runs off, leaving fire in his wake. By sunrise, they are far from the bank and stop to celebrate. Pavel reminds them of the final deal and asks to be left behind so he can finally die. They say their goodbyes and drive off, but when they see Pavel collapse, they turn back to help him. Pavel explodes in anger, insisting this is what he wants. Boris argues they should stay together as a family, but Oleg points out they cannot. The robbery was messy, and the police will catch them sooner or later. He adds that everyone already has plans. He and Sveta are going to Thailand. Tolik is heading to Moscow, and Sacha and Rita want to move to Brazil. The girls ask Boris to come with them, but Pavel cuts in, saying he has called the police so they can find his dying body. This time, the family leaves for good. Hours later, Pavel's death deeply shakes Sveta. When Oleg starts dividing the money, she refuses her share and says they should return it. Oleg refuses, and Sveta kicks him out of the car, ending their relationship. Realizing the family has not changed, Oleg walks away and handles his own affairs. He pays off the smugglers, then hides the remaining cash by taping it under his clothes. At the airport, ready to leave the country, he sees news that the family has been arrested for trying to retrieve Pavel's body from the funeral home. He tries to ignore it, but once on the plane, guilt overwhelms him, and he returns to help. Oleg goes to the funeral home and tries to bribe the clerk for Pavel's body. With many people desperate to claim it, the man demands 1 million and refuses to negotiate. Having no choice, Oleg hands over all the money he has left and takes Pavel to the courthouse, where the family is on trial. The moment they enter, their powers return and chaos erupts. Boris teleports out of the cage. Pavel joins him in beating guards, and Sacha breaks the others free. Together, they knock out officers as the courtroom empties. Reunited, Boris finally accepts Oleg as part of the family. Outside, armed police wait, but Rita distracts them by flying overhead like a divine apparition. The family steals a car and escapes, though the police quickly recover and chase them through the city. Boris teleports into a police car and forces it to drive off, while Sacha shoves the others aside with her strength. When they crash through a vegetable stand and the side mirror is covered in grime, Oleg washes it clean by pouring water from his finger. Sacha then helps the car make a sharp turn, sending every police vehicle but one crashing into each other. They finally lose the last car when Rita lifts their vehicle into the air and flies off with it. Later, the family meets the smugglers and pays them to hide everyone inside a shipping container, allowing them to slip out to Thailand unnoticed. With that, they face 20 days on the run, stuck with nothing but each other. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.